Hey guys, Toby Mathis here, and I want to go over a major change that just occurred a few hours ago, and that was the lifting of an injunction that prevented the filing of beneficial ownership information under the Corporate Transparency Act with FinCEN. And so, if you are a company, an LLC, corporation, or any entity that was filed with the state, like a limited partnership, limited liability partnership, even certain trusts, you had a reporting requirement unless you fell underneath an exemption, to file certain types of information on your beneficial owners with FinCEN. And for the last year, companies that were being incorporated or formed were having to comply with this within 90 days of their formation. And they gave us 1 year to file for companies that existed, that were what's called a reporting company, that existed on January 1st, 2024. So in other words, you had until January 1st of 2025 to file your BOI report. And a court stayed that whole thing on December 3rd. It was in Texas, Fifth Circuit, and said it was unconstitutional. The Corporate Transparency Act and the filing requirement of the BOI, the beneficial ownership information, was unconstitutional and entered a nationwide ban. And the government appealed that. And so what we have today, and I'm just going to share it with you so you're looking at it along with me, what they filed today, or was entered today. And I'll just kind of show you today being, I'll just show you December 23rd, 2024. So a couple days before Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. This is what they said. Appellate court gave us all a Merry Christmas. But it was the Texas Top Cop Shop et al., including the National Federation of Independent Businesses. It was them as plaintiffs, and they managed to get an injunction entered. Let me just go down here and I'll show you right here. It was entered on December 3rd, less than 1 month before the crucial, I just mentioned that January date, reporting deadline. The district court granted plaintiff appellees, the businesses, motion for a preliminary injunction and entered a nationwide injunction enjoining the CTA and the corresponding reporting rule. Now, this is where it gets really important. The BOI report, so the FinCEN, recognized that this was a national stay and said you do not have to file during this stay. So this was December 3rd, and now we're sitting on December 23rd. So it was 20 days ago. So 3 weeks ago, a court said you don't have to file. And today, the court is saying, actually, yes, you do. And that is because the appellate court granted the government motion for a temporary stay of the district court's order and injunction pending appeal. So what that means in English is that the government moved to have the injunction set aside or lifted, and the court granted it. And I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom of the opinion so you can actually see the order. This is what the court actually ordered. So the government's emergency order for a stay pending appeal, so it's still being appealed, is granted. It is further ordered that this appeal is expedited, so they're going to hear it soon, the next available oral argument panel. So oral argument is going to occur on this almost certainly, barring something unexpected. I can't see the parties settling this, and which case you're going to see a decision eventually from the appellate court after those oral arguments to see whether maybe the plaintiffs can get the government, can persuade the court. What does this mean for you? What does this mean for all of you sitting out there? Do you have 1 week now to file your report? Well, no, because FinCEN immediately came out. Let me share this with you. Let me see if I can pull up. They put it on their website immediately. I was fairly shocked at how quickly they got it up there. This information, which says right here, alert, updates to beneficial ownership information reporting deadlines. beneficial ownership information reporting requirements now in effect with deadline extensions. And you'll see right up here, it says, in light of a December 23rd, 2024 Federal Court of Appeals decision, reporting companies, except as indicated below, are once again required to file beneficial ownership information with FinCEN. And then they said, however, because the Department of the Treasury recognizes that reporting companies may need additional time to comply, given the period when the preliminary injunction has been in effect, we have extended the reporting deadline as follows. And here's the big one for everybody that was waiting this thing out, that had a reporting business, and I'll go over what that means here in a second. If you had a reporting business on January 1st, 2024, and that you had a 1 year period, you now have until January 13th. That's what they gave us. You now have until January 13th, 2025 to get the initial beneficial ownership into FinCEN. Now, there are companies that had a deadline fall within the period of time the injunction was, and FinCEN says September 4th, where you set up your business between September 4th and December 3rd, you're in this kind of this funky period. You're going to have an additional 21 days to file. And then there was also some people where that it was during the injunction, and I believe they also gave them until January 13th as well. Why is that important? Because if you do not comply with this law, it could be up to 2 years in prison, $10,000 penalty, and the daily penalties for each day you do not comply with this, as of right now, are over $591. So it was $591, but it's indexed with inflation. God knows what it is right now, probably closer to $600. But what that means is there's substantial penalties if you do not comply. There's plenty of videos out there going over BOI requirements and filing, including my own and my partner Clint and others. But this is critical timing information. Let me just go to the exemptions. This is you could just take a snapshot and see if you fall into any of these. Also, if you're making over $5 million a year and your business is making $5 million, then you are exempt. I would still talk to somebody or go read the rules. Make sure you fall underneath one of the exemptions. Reach out to us if you want. We'll go over whether you fall into one of the exemptions, because the penalties are so severe if you are not under one of these exemptions and you don't file. I mean, just do the math. Like, let's just say, hey, 30 days. Let's just say right now it's 591 and you have 30 days late. That's $18,000 a month penalties. Is that really what you want to roll the dice on it, on a hunch or a hope? No, you got to make sure that you're actually making an intelligent decision on these. And then, are you a reporting company? Here's the FinCEN's own statements. This is an easy way to think about it. Am I a corporation? Am I an LLC? Am I an entity that is filed with the state, which means certain trusts, LPs, LLPs, different types of entities that I file with the Secretary of State? Am I one of those? Then I would be a domestic reporting company unless I fall underneath one of the exemptions. So I'd more than likely have to do it. If I am a foreign entity registered to do business in the United States, and again, I'm registered in the state, then chances are I'm a reporting company unless I fall under one of the exemptions. And that's the easiest way to do it, rule of thumb. So if you're an entity that existed prior to January 1st, 2024 with the Secretary of State, 99% certainty you're going to have to file by now it is January 13th, 2025. So they gave us a little bit of extra time to get these things done, which is, fantastic, but not much time, right? It's better than January 1st. I would have felt really bad for people had they not immediately come out. In fact, I'd already started to put together a letter to our clients, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're giving us a week. I mean, we were telling people, I am not one of those people that worries so much about the filings with FinCEN, because they already have that information. The Bank Secrecy Act, bank has to know who you are. when you're filing a tax return, you're disclosing a lot of this information. I'm not I'm not horribly worried about it, although I am seriously annoyed that the government's forcing you to do it. I don't like it. I don't know whose hands it's going to fall into, but it's not, and I'm going to emphasize this, it is not a public record, nor is it available under a Freedom of Information Act request. So people can't just go to FinCEN and say, hey, give me all the beneficial ownership information of all these entities. They don't get to do that. So what this does is it, I was telling people, just file and act as though it's going to be constitutional, because chances are it's constitutional. Yes, to certain people, there's an argument that it's unconstitutional, but I know how the courts act. They're going to bend over backwards saying it's the will of the people. We saw that in the Court of Appeals, them saying that constantly. It's like this was the will of the people because they elected the lawmakers who enacted this law. And this was a Trump law. For those of you guys who think it's political, no, this was under a Republican administration that this was passed. It did not come into effect until Biden, but I believe it was Trump that actually signed it. And at the end of the day, the intent of this was to combat financial crimes where you had anonymous owners of entities getting financial benefit. That is not what we do. We like to keep you out of a public record, but the banks know who you are. The taxing authorities, the IRS knows if you have a K-1. We're not sitting there trying to conceal that. Other people do. And that's what these laws are designed to catch those folks, so that you can catch the money launderers, the people that are using undue influence in getting financial benefit without paying tax on it or without disclosure. So that's what it's there for. The court is siding with the government on it, but that does not mean that this is going to be the be all end all. It's done. It's still under appeal. You have multiple courts. There's an Alabama court. There's Florida court. There's other courts that are also wrestling with this. It'll work its way up. It'll be Court of Appeals, and eventually, if the Supreme Court grants it, it'll be a Supreme Court issue. And these things don't happen quickly, so we expect to see continued movement on it. But again, what I tell my clients right now is, first off, you don't want to be right about something, but be dead right about something. So you might be right that it's unconstitutional, and unless you want to go fight it, you don't want to not do this because the penalties are so severe. You may even, you may end up going to jail over it. You may get massive penalties. And at the end of the day, maybe you're vindicated and you were right, but they still killed your business in the meantime and destroyed your life. So it's called being dead right. And I don't want that. The way I look at it is, for right now, it's really something ultimately everybody gets to decide on their own. But what would I be citing on? I'd be citing on filing it, get it out of your life. It's not the end of the world. For the most part, you've already done this with the banks. And this is, you're not the ones they're looking for. Let's just put it that way. All right, guys, subscribe, click the bell, because anytime something comes up on this, I'm going to create a video and send it right out so that you're getting updated information that's timely. This order was signed just a few hours ago, and we're already getting this out. So hopefully this is getting to you in time to where you can take the appropriate action. You have a few weeks to get that BOI report. Maybe you were sitting there saying it's done, it's dead. I heard some internet guys saying that it's been killed and that the injunction destroyed the law. It doesn't work that way. This is an ongoing process. So we did have an injunction in place for 3 weeks saying that you didn't have to do it. Now it's gone. And even the injunction was like, hey, the BOI is not due during the pendency of this injunction. As soon as it's lifted, never happened, right? You're back. You got to file. FinCEN acted like human beings and said, hey, we're going to give you a couple extra weeks, which will give us some breathing room. But that just means you have a short period of time to get that report done. Please get it done. And unless another court comes along and enjoins it, it's going to be a requirement as of right now.